EA's announcement of a new Star Wars Battlefront game in 2013 had everyone excited. It had been a long time coming, and as the game was getting closer and closer to release, it only seemed like the anticipation for the game was growing. When we finally got our hands on the game, it had most gamers divided, to say the least. Does Star Wars Battlefront suck? Let's find out. First, let's talk about what's good in Star Wars Battlefront. The graphics and sound are top-notch. This is by far DICE's best-looking game. From the terrain to the particle effects, everything in this game graphically is on point. The audio is also excellent. From the soundtrack to whenever something is getting fired, it sounds like Star Wars, and that's great. If you're a fan of the movies, you'll feel right at home with Battlefront. The weapons, vehicles, maps have all been crafted with care to have that Star Wars feel, and it shows. Star Wars Battlefront embodies Star Wars, and that should have been DICE's goal with this game from the beginning, so good job on that. Now for the bad, and let me start by saying that what's bad in Star Wars Battlefront all stems from one fact: the game has a lack of content. That can't be denied. It's pretty much universally agreed upon that Star Wars Battlefront does not have enough content to justify the $60 price tag. Add on to the fact that the game is going to have quite a bit of DLC, the lack of content is only made worse. And where do I even begin with the lack of content in the base game? No single player, no galactic quest, no space battles, no weapon customization, not that many heroes. I could go on. And it's hard to understand why the game lacks so much content. DICE has worked on the Battlefield games, and those games are usually very fleshed out. And even though the single player in those games aren't amazing, at least it has one, and it's an option the player has. Even if it's not the best single player in the world, it's there. Keep in mind that this is the first Star Wars Battlefront game that DICE has made, so hopefully when they go back and develop Star Wars Battlefront 2, they'll take fans' criticisms to heart and make a more fleshed out game. And the fact the game lacks content may have been out of DICE's hands entirely. At the end of the day, EA has the final say on how much time DICE gets to work on the game and how the DLC will be released. Don't get me wrong, DLC does have a place in gaming. Games are very expensive to produce, and producers need to make more money to justify development. That's fine, that's business. But the base game should also have enough content to warrant the $60 price tag, and with Star Wars Battlefront, it just doesn't. Mechanically, Star Wars Battlefront isn't bad. Gameplay at times is a bit bland, it could use some work in the future games, but as this is DICE's first game as a part of the Battlefront series, it works well enough. So that's where we're at with Star Wars Battlefront. Is the game terrible? No. The game mechanically is good, and visuals and audio are at an extremely high level. The problem is from the lack of content in the game, and thus not making it worth the asking price. What do you guys think? Do you think that Star Wars Battlefront did live up to the hype and the amount of content in the game is fine? Or do you think the game is a disappointment and the lack of content hurt it? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.